Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here. Today we're going to take a look at my Game Week 18 transfer plans. Now Game Week 18 again is going to be a tight turnaround. It's a Thursday evening deadline for Game Week 18, so do take note of that. And it's also a blank for Man City and Brentford that we've been speaking about for quite a while already. We did imagine at the start it will be quite tricky to navigate this game week, but now that most of us have removed Erling Haaland and Brian Mbeumo, both of whom are injured, I feel like a lot of us will just be navigating Game Week 18 with free transfers. I plan to do that as well, so I'll talk through what I plan to do with my team for now in Game Week 18 as well as the game weeks moving forward as well. So if you guys do enjoy this one, please do drop a like, please do subscribe as well. The Christmas charity drive is still on, but before we jump into the video, I wanted to thank everyone for helping me to hit 6,000 subscribers on the Game Week 17 deadline stream. That was a really historical stream for the channel and it's one that I will remember for quite a while. So thank you guys for all the support and for helping me to hit 6,000 subscribers. The road to 10k starts now. Alright, so for Game Week 18, this is my team without transfers made. I have one free transfer and 6.2 million in the bank. Essentially, this money is obviously to buy Haaland back, whether it's in Game Week 19 or Game Week 20. I plan to use this money to buy Haaland back. But depending on when I need him, which I will show you guys later on in the transfer tinkering section, I may choose to spread the funds now in Game Week 18 or roll the transfer and then see what we can do later on. So let's talk about my Game Week 18 team first. For now, this is the best starting 11 that I can have. I have Dubravka in goal. The back three will be Porro, Livramento, and Mark Guehi. Porro I have no issues with. He looks really lively and I'm really glad he's in my team. I brought him in slightly earlier ahead of the curve and he has returned his biggest haul, 8 points. I would say that's one of his highest scores this season for Game Week 17, so pleased with that. Livramento, I did imagine that he will be a little bit more of a doubt, but given that Fabian Schär is now injured, maybe Dan Burn starts again at centre back. I think Botman, he did make a cameo towards the end, but I'm not so sure that Botman will come straight into the starting 11 against Luton. And then Kieran Trippier is also nursing a little bit of a knock. So it seems as if Livramento could get another start against Luton. He was taken off around the 82nd minute. So presumably I would think that was to rest him for this Luton game. So if that happens, then I think Livramento could get a start in that game. And of course, it may not be the easiest fixture because Luton have been scoring against teams at home, right? Their home form is pretty good. So, I mean, having both Livramento and Dubravka may not work out, but in Game Week 17, it did work out pretty well, and we still can see that Newcastle as a defensive unit are still pretty solid, right? So hopefully they can keep it up against Luton. And I don't really have other defenders that I want to field because Tsimikas plays Arsenal at home and Taylor plays Fulham away, so both not great fixtures for them. So hopefully Livramento comes away with something. For Mark Guehi, I have him in the starting 11 ahead of Tsimikas because he plays Brighton at home. Crystal Palace are coming off a 2-2 draw against Man City. Hopefully that buoys them up. But if not, I think that's also a fixture that may not be the easiest for Crystal Palace because Brighton are pretty alright in their attacking numbers recently. So I feel like Mark Guehi is a player that I'm not so sure I want to start this game week. And he's also one of the players that could be on the bench if I make my transfer for Game Week 18, which I'll talk about later on. In midfield, it's Palmer, Salah, Son, and Saka. Now, Palmer did really well in Game Week 17, a double-digit haul, 14 points for him, so he came good there. For Salah, Son, and Saka, I'm recording this, as I've mentioned, at the halftime point of the 2 p.m. game. So basically, I haven't seen the Manchester United versus Liverpool game, but of course, I imagine that hopefully Salah and Darwin Núñez both come out unscathed of that, and then I'll have them for Arsenal at home, which is not ideal, but once again, Game Week 18 is just a game week that we want to tide through. It's a blank game week that we just want to get by and see how we can plan better for the game weeks ahead. Right, so Son, Everton at home, a big captaincy option. He blanked in Game Week 17, but you just know with Son, he could go on explosive hauls. So he's in the team. He's also a captaincy shout. Saka has Liverpool away. Up front is Darwin Núñez, Solanke, and Ollie Watkins. So my attackers I have no issues with. Watkins, of course, also another captaincy shout. But the 7 attackers that I have here, I have no issues with them at all. Let's say somehow one of them gets injured. I still have a Dinger who's first on the bench who plays Crystal Palace away. So I'm perfectly fine with the attackers. All my midfielders and forwards are alright. It's the defensive department that I think I could use a transfer here. So as I've mentioned just now when I talked about Mark Gahey, preferably I would like to bench him against Brighton. And if I were to make a transfer in Game Week 18, I would likely take Tsimikas out, who plays Arsenal at home. He's on the bench for now, and I'm looking at a couple of replacements which we'll talk about in the transfer tinkering section. But if I do make the transfer, I can then bench Gahey and start the replacement of Tsimikas instead. So that's my plan. The other alternative is rolling the transfer, because if I just start Gahey here, I can roll the transfer. And knowing how tight the fixtures are, I never know when the injury comes up. So it feels as if I have this spare transfer moving forward, it could be quite handy as well. And it could also help me to bring Haaland back for free later on. Right, so for now, I think I'm kind of 50-50. I could make the swap from to replace Tsimikas and then start that defender. Or I go with Mark Gahey here in my starting 11 and just keep the free transfer. So let me know what you guys would do in my position in the comments down below. But let's now take a look at the transfer tinkering tool and see some potential transfers I can make now in Game Week 18, as well as look ahead into the next few game weeks to see how my team is shaping up and how I plan to bring Erling Haaland back as well. So this is my team on the Fantasy Football Hub transfer planner. I have one free transfer and 6.2 million in the bank. My first option is to roll the transfer and go with this team. My second option is to sell Tsimikas and start the replacement ahead of Mark Gahey. So there are a couple of replacements that I'm looking at. The first one is Levi Colwill. I think the clean sheets will start to come for Chelsea. And at 4.6 million for a rather nailed Levi Colwill, because Cucurella is currently injured. It remains to be seen how long he'll be out for, but I think for the foreseeable future, Levi Colwill will be starting at left back. And also Reece James is out for quite a while. So I do feel like defensively, there's just not as many options that Chelsea have, and Levi Colwill seems to me like he will be first choice left back, at least for the next few games where Chelsea's fixtures are really good. So I feel like moving forward, the clean sheets will be there for Chelsea, so Levi Colwill is definitely someone I'm considering. If I don't go for Levi Colwill, there's also Pau Torres that I'm considering. So Pau Torres at 4.7 million, he's 0.1 million more expensive, but he has arguably one of the best fixtures in Game Week 18, which is Sheffield at home. And the next few fixtures are really there for the taking for Aston Villa in terms of clean sheets, right? So they have Manchester United away in Game Week 19. In Game Week 20, it's Burnley, then Everton, followed by a tougher game, Newcastle at home. But then there's Sheffield away as well. So with Aston Villa, I feel like pretty much in every game, I can actually back them for a clean sheet, because we saw even at home against difficult teams or teams that are presumably supposed to score against them, teams like Arsenal and Man City, they kept clean sheets against them. Now, I know I'm recording this at the halfway point of the Aston Villa and Brentford game they've already conceded, but I don't expect them to keep clean sheets every single game week. And I just feel like moving forward, games like Sheffield at home, Burnley at home, I definitely feel like there are clean sheets there for Pau Torres. So 4.7 million, I'm definitely considering him as well. But let's say for the purpose of this video, for the time being, I replace Tsimikas with Levi Colwill. Right, so if I go with Levi Colwill, I will have 6.3 million in the bank. And let's take a look at the transfers moving forward, where I plan to bring Erling Haaland back. So assuming I go for Levi Colwill at 4.6 million, I will have 6.3 million in the bank come Game Week 19 and one free transfer. Now, if I do want to bring Erling Haaland back this game week, I could just do a straight swap for Darwin Núñez out and bring Erling Haaland back in. Now, the reason why I mentioned Darwin Núñez, even though he has Burnley away, is because Game Week 19 is a midweek game. And basically, I feel like there's a good chance that Darwin Núñez could miss out the Burnley game. Right? And if we get news that he's going to miss out, I think it makes this transfer even easier. But of course, Erling Haaland has to be fit for me to bring him back in Game Week 19. It's just that I will have the funds for that, and it is an option for me. Right, so Erling Haaland in for Darwin Núñez, who has dropped in price already. Erling Haaland's at 13.9 million, and that's why I can afford him. It says minus 0.1 now, but basically I do have enough funds for Erling Haaland for a straight swap to Darwin Núñez. Now, the other option that I can go for is to just roll the transfer in Game Week 19. If Erling Haaland is not fit, I can just keep Darwin Núñez and then roll two free transfers into Game Week 20, and this is when I think the moves can get a little bit more exciting. If I decide I only want to bring Haaland back in Game Week 20, what I can do is to sell Salah, who has Newcastle at home, and replace him with Richarlison. Right, I take a chance that Salah doesn't score too well against Newcastle. I bring Richarlison in, and this basically frees up so much funds, 12.5 million, for me to upgrade Solanke to Erling Haaland, which I will definitely have more than enough money for this. So basically, if I move for Haaland in game week 20, the player that leaves for him is Solanke. If I do it in game week 19, the player that leaves for Haaland is Darwin Núñez. And basically, I feel like if I move in game week 20 for Haaland, I am slightly more comfortable to keep Darwin Núñez over the next few game weeks. It might seem crazy, but I feel like the Bournemouth fixtures from game week 20 onwards start to get a little bit more tricky. And even though Darwin Núñez as an asset as compared to Solanke is definitely not as nailed, and he's also not on penalties, but Liverpool's run across this few game weeks from game week 20 onwards, at least when Salah is gone, isn't too bad. And of course, Darwin Núñez, you would expect, will be more nailed because Salah will be leaving for the African Cup of Nations, and that's when I would preferably see, I'll probably see Darwin Núñez starting at centre forward majority of the games. So that's currently what's on my mind right now. And when I bring it back to, let's say, game week 18, which is where we are right now, you can see that I do have an option here, right, to basically just make this transfer, either go for Levi Colwill or Pau Torres, and it will not affect my plans to bring Haaland back in, whether it's in game week 19 or game week 20. So I do have an option right now. And of course, as I've mentioned at the start as well, rolling is also one of the possibilities. Keeping this spare transfer for the festive fixtures, and basically be in a situation where if I need to use it to deal with injuries, I will be pretty safe. So let me know what you guys think and what you would do with my team. For now, I'm really 50-50. I can't really decide if I want to sell Tsimikas and bring in a defender, whether it's Colwill or Pau Torres, or just start Mark Gahey and roll the transfer instead. Let me know what you guys think. But for now, thank you guys for watching to this point. Once again, thank you so much for 6,000 subscribers. If you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like. Please do subscribe as well. And I'll catch you guys very soon for more Game Week 18 content, because the deadline is coming thick and fast. It is a Thursday evening deadline once again. So do take note of that, and I'll catch you guys in more Game Week 18 content very soon. Bye-bye.